I'm Mike Musson, the Wayne Township Assessor. Wayne Township is a 36 square mile area located at the northwest corner of DuPage County. Wayne Township contains portions of Bartlett, Carroll Stream, Hanover Park, Wayne, West Chicago, a small part of St. Charles, as well as a large unincorporated area. This video is part of an ongoing effort to help Wayne Township homeowners better understand the role of the assessor in the property tax cycle and to educate residents about the impact of the continuing downturn in the real estate market on assessments and property taxes. Many residents believe the property taxes in the Chicago collar counties are too high. This is especially true here along the western edge of DuPage County because the tax base is primarily residential. Areas with large commercial and industrial tax bases tend to have lower tax rates than areas with predominantly residential properties. Property taxes are used to fund local governments, and the majority of tax dollars, typically around 2/3, are collected and spent by your school districts. The property tax is highly unpopular because it is billed annually and paid in two large installments rather than in smaller increments throughout the year. However, the benefit of the property tax is that property taxes are collected and spent on local services by local government officials who are directly accountable to voters. There is clearly a disconnect between most homeowners' beliefs that their taxes are excessive and most local government administrators' perceptions that their taxing districts are in dire financial circumstances. The Property Tax Extension Limitation Law, commonly referred to as the tax cap, has worked to constrain tax increases without voter approval. However, issues such as poor long-term planning, union contracts, and pension obligations, as well as the general economic downturn, have resulted in taxing districts having to make difficult choices to begin living within their means. Those of us who live in taxing districts that overlap into Cook County, such as the villages, library, and park districts of Bartlett and Hanover Park, and School District U46, saw surprisingly large increases on our 2009 tax bills, which were payable in 2010. Cook County's assessment system and property tax cycle are completely different than every other county in Illinois, and valuation changes cause the tax burden to shift unpredictably between Cook and DuPage counties or the other neighboring counties where the overlaps occur. In some years we see decreases, and in others, like 2009, unexpected increases. This does not mean that these taxing districts are collecting more taxes, but instead that residents of the DuPage portion are paying more of the tax burden, and those in Cook are paying less of the tax burden. This reapportionment of the tax burden between the counties is determined by the county clerk in each county and the Illinois Department of Revenue. I'm constantly being asked by people who call my office, acquaintances I run into in the grocery store, or even my own friends and neighbors, why can't you do something about these property taxes? If it were only that simple. My office does not issue tax bills, collect taxes, or set tax rates. Our job is to determine a fair, uniform assessed value for each property in Wayne Township. These assessed values are used as the basis to spread the tax burden. In Illinois, property taxes are ad valorem, or according to value. Larger, more valuable properties are taxed higher than smaller, less valuable properties. The Township Assessor cannot control the overall level of taxation, but can only strive to make sure the tax burden is spread fairly among all of the property owners. If I raise one home's assessed value, that homeowner would experience a tax increase, and the tax burden would be reduced for other property owners. If I were to reduce one home's assessed value, that homeowner would see a tax reduction, but the tax burden would then be shifted to all of the other property owners. If I were to reduce all property values by a certain percentage, but local governments maintain the same spending levels, tax rates would increase by the same percentage, and property tax bills would remain the same. Likewise, if I were to increase assessments by a certain percentage, tax rates would decline by that percentage, and the amount of taxes billed and collected would remain unchanged. It is understandable that individual homeowners calling my office are focusing solely on their own property tax assessments, but my staff and I have to look at the overall picture by neighborhood, by village, and across the township considering both uniformity and market value in a way that is fair to everyone while assessing properties at the statutory level of assessments. Illinois statute requires assessors to value properties each year at 33 1/3% or 1/3 of market value, based on the 3 previous years of sales. For example, the 2010 assessments were based on sales that occurred between January 1st, 2007 and December 31st, 2009. None of the market activity that occurs after January 1st of the assessment year can be reflected in that year's assessments. Assessments must be based on closed sales. We can't look at asking prices of homes on the market. We also cannot use foreclosure sales in the ratio studies used to determine the assessments, unless foreclosure sales represent at least 25% of the sales in the township, which has not been the case for Wayne Township or any other township in DuPage County. Due to the 3-year sales window and the fact that assessments are finalized late in the year, in an increasing market, assessed values are typically slightly below the actual current market values of properties. Conversely, in a declining market such as this one, assessments at the statutory level will tend to be higher than properties would sell for in the current market. Many property owners opened their 2009 tax bills, which were issued in April of 2010, and saw a fair cash value that was higher than they could imagine being able to get for their homes. This gives the property owners the perception that their property taxes are higher than they should be. However, it's only a perception because, as I've explained, higher property values result in lower tax rates, and lower values would result in higher tax rates. Real estate sale prices in the Chicago suburbs experienced steady growth for many years before the housing bubble burst during 2007. For decades, assessments in Wayne Township increased every year until 2008. Assessments remained the same in 2009, and in 2010, assessments in Wayne Township finally began to decrease through a negative equalization factor of 0.9359, meaning assessments were reduced by approximately 6.4%. Many property owners may believe that their property values have declined more than the amount of the assessment reductions have been in recent years. However, as I mentioned, the use of the 3-year sales ratio study results in a lag between assessments at the statutory level and current market values. Assessments should continue to decrease every year until the market turns around, and then for another year or two after the market picks up before beginning to increase again. The falling assessments will not necessarily cause taxes to decrease because, as I said, tax rates will automatically rise to compensate for the loss in value, ensuring that the taxing districts receive the same tax dollars from property owners. Homeowners may appeal their assessments every year based on equity by attempting to demonstrate that their assessments are higher than those of similar properties in their areas. Homeowners may also appeal based on market value by demonstrating that the market value indicated by the assessment exceeds the true market value of the property. An appellant will need to provide comparable properties to support their equity or market value argument. Homeowners can find information regarding their properties and sales and assessment information for their neighborhoods by visiting www.WayneTownshipAssessor.com and clicking on the Advanced Search button. Our website also contains information regarding the current year's assessment cycle and appeal deadlines. Please remember that there may be a difference between current market value and market value at the statutory level of assessments, and that while an appellant may be presenting only recent sales evidence, we will be presenting sales evidence from all 3 of the years that were used in determining that year's assessments. Sales that occurred after January 1st of the assessment year cannot be used as evidence in an assessment appeal. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it has helped to clarify the assessment process and helped you to understand that falling assessments will not necessarily mean taxes will be reduced. If you have any questions, please call my office at 630-231-8900.